In the heart of the ancient city of Jerusalem, standing with grace despite centuries of war, colonization, and political turmoil, lies a sacred place known as Baitul Maqdis, or Masjid al-Aqsa. To the millions of Muslims across the globe, this mosque is not simply a place of prayer, it is the echo of divine footsteps, the witness to sacred history, and the living heart of Palestine. From the golden glint of the dome of the rock to the gray stones of its walls, Masjid al-Aqsa tells the story of humanity's yearning for the divine. The first Qibla in Islam, al-Aqsa once directed the faces and hearts of the early Muslim community before Allah commanded the shift toward the Kaaba. Yet, its status as the third holiest site in Islam remains unchanged. It was here, according to Islamic belief, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was taken on the miraculous night journey known as al-Isra wal-Miraj, transported by the heavenly steed Burak from Makkah to Jerusalem, and from there ascended into the heavens where he met the previous prophets and received the command of 5 daily prayers for his ummah. This momentous event forever sealed Baitul Maqdis into the hearts of Muslims, not only as a holy structure but as a gateway to the divine. But the holiness of Baitul Maqdis does not begin with Islam. It is a land that has long been touched by the hands and hearts of prophets. Long before the advent of Prophet Muhammad pbuh, Jerusalem was a city visited, lived in, and sanctified by the prophets of old. Prophet Abraham, the father of monotheism, prayed on its soil. His son Isaac, and grandson Jacob walked here. Prophet David made it his capital, and his son Solomon constructed a majestic temple upon the very ground that would one day become Masjid al-Aqsa. Their legacy fills every stone of the land. The very air of Jerusalem is thick with the remembrance of divine messages, of angelic visits, of battles fought not just for territory but for truth. It is in Jerusalem that Prophet Isa, Jesus born miraculously of Mary, preached and healed, and it is where, according to Islamic tradition, he will return in the end times, bringing justice to the world before the day of judgment. Through centuries, Baitul Maqdis witnessed the rise and fall of empires. In the early 7th century, shortly after the Prophet's passing, the caliphate under Umar ibn al-Khattab extended into Palestine. Unlike many violent conquests of the time, the entry of Muslims into Jerusalem was marked by humility, compassion, and justice. Umar himself walked into the city on foot, refusing to ride while others did, as a gesture of equality and modesty. When offered to pray inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, Umar refused, fearing that Muslims after him might convert it into a mosque. Instead, he prayed outside, and to this day, a small mosque stands there, a symbol of respect for interfaith coexistence. The pact he made with the Christian patriarch Sophronius guaranteed protection to all people of the book, a commitment to pluralism that is remembered even today. The Umayyad Caliphate, particularly under Caliph Abd al-Malik, built the magnificent Dome of the Rock in 691 CE, an architectural marvel that still stands, crowning the Temple Mount with its dazzling golden dome. This structure enshrined the rock from which the Prophet Muhammad pbuh is believed to have ascended. The area soon became not just a mosque, but a complex of spiritual learning, reflection, and governance. For centuries, Muslims from across the Islamic world traveled to Jerusalem to seek knowledge, to pray, and to immerse themselves in the sanctity of this space. Baitul Maqdis became not only a center of spirituality but also of Islamic civilization, echoing with the verses of the Quran and the Hadith, adorned with calligraphy and mosaics that told the stories of creation, judgment, and divine mercy. But this sacred peace would not last forever. Jerusalem, prized by many for its spiritual stature, became the target of countless invasions. Perhaps the most notorious was during the Crusades in 1099, when European forces stormed the city, slaughtering tens of thousands of its inhabitants, Muslims and Jews alike. Masjid al-Aqsa was defiled, turned into a stable and church. But then came Salahuddin Ayyubi, Saladin, the Kurdish Muslim general who reclaimed Jerusalem in 1187. His victory, however, was not just military, it was moral. Unlike the Crusaders, Salahuddin spared the defeated. He reopened Masjid al-Aqsa to Muslims, restored its dignity, and allowed Christians to remain in the city under protection. He became a legend not just among Muslims but among many in the West, a man who embodied the chivalry and compassion often lacking in war. The legacy of Salahuddin still resonates, particularly today as Muslims around the world pray for a new liberation of al-Aqsa, not just from occupation, but from fear, injustice, and desecration. In the modern era, Baitul Maqdis remains a place of tension and struggle. For the Palestinian people, Al-Aqsa is not just a mosque, it is the soul of their identity. Since the occupation of East Jerusalem in 1967, access to Al-Aqsa has often been restricted. Worshippers have been harassed, arrested, and even killed. The mosque, sacred to over 1.9 billion Muslims, has become the front line of a battle over sovereignty, faith, and dignity. Every time an old Palestinian woman walks to Al-Aqsa with her prayer mat under occupation, she is resisting erasure. Every time a young boy recites the Quran inside its courtyard while soldiers patrol nearby, he is preserving centuries of worship. The world watches as confrontations erupt, as settlers storm the compound, and as the sanctity of this holy site is challenged again and again. But the people hold on, firm in their faith, resilient in their devotion. Despite the pain, despite the tears, Al-Aqsa remains alive, glowing with the prayers of the faithful, echoing with the call to prayer, embracing those who come to remember Allah. In Ramadan, thousands gather under its night sky, praying Taraweeh in unison, their voices rising like waves into the heavens. In these moments, all divisions disappear. Young and old, rich and poor, men and women, they are all just servants of Allah, drawn to this sacred place like moths to a flame. Masjid al-Aqsa becomes, in those hours, not just a mosque, but a living miracle. A testimony that no amount of bullets or politics can erase what is written in the hearts of believers. The story of Baitul Maqdis is not over. It continues to unfold with every child who memorizes the Quran in its halls, with every scholar who teaches hadith beside its walls, with every refugee who dreams of returning to pray there once more. It is a story of prophets and prayers, of tears and triumph, of struggle and steadfastness. It is the story of us all, of what it means to hold on to hope, to remain unbroken in the face of overwhelming force, and to remember that no matter how long the night, the dawn will come. As long as there are hearts that love Allah, as long as there are lips that whisper, Subhanallah, in the direction of Jerusalem, the light of Baitul Maqdis will never fade. It will continue to shine, eternal, sacred, and free.